Came home early to find all her things gone. Moving in with my soulmate. The note said, I called my lawyer without a word. When the ownership documents were revealed 48 hours later, her frantic calls and texts flooded my phone as reality finally sank in. I, 34 am, never expected my wife of 8 years to just disappear one day. Yet, that's exactly what happened. My career as a museum curator means I often work long hours, sometimes traveling for special exhibitions. 3 months ago, I returned home a day early from a conference in Chicago to surprise my wife. I thought maybe we could have dinner at her favorite restaurant, something to make up for being gone so much lately. The moment I opened our front door, I knew something was wrong. The house was too quiet, too empty. I called out her name, but there was no answer. Making my way through each room, I noticed her clothes were gone from the closet, her toiletries missing from the bathroom, and her favorite books no longer on the nightstand. On the kitchen counter was a folded piece of paper. I picked it up with shaking hands and read the few sentences that would change everything. I found my soulmate. This marriage isn't working for me anymore. I've moved in with him. I'll contact you about divorce arrangements soon. No apology. No explanation. Nothing but cold, final words. I sat down at our kitchen table, the same one where we'd shared thousands of meals, and felt a strange calmness wash over me. I should have been devastated. I should have been calling her, demanding answers. Instead, I pulled out my phone and called my lawyer. I need to speak with you immediately, I said when he answered. My wife has left me, and I need to protect myself. My lawyer told me to come to his office first thing in the morning. Then I called my sister, who lived about an hour away. She answered on the third ring. Hey, what's up? She asked cheerfully. Wife is gone, I said flatly. Left a note saying she's moving in with her soulmate. What? Are you serious? I'm coming over right now. You don't have to. I'll be there in an hour. Don't do anything stupid. While waiting for my sister to arrive, I poured myself a drink and sat in the living room, staring at the photos of my wife and me that still adorned the walls. 8 years of marriage, 3 years of dating before that. How could someone just walk away from 11 years of their life without even a conversation? My wife and I had met at a charity fundraiser. I was there representing the museum, and she was there with friends. We hit it off immediately. She was vibrant, intelligent, and ambitious. She worked in real estate, specializing in high-end properties. Her career was demanding, but so was mine, and I thought we understood each other's commitments. We had our issues like any couple, but I never saw this coming. No fights, no discussions about being unhappy, just gone. My sister arrived and immediately wrapped me in a hug. I can't believe she would do this, she said, pulling back to look at me. Are you okay? I'm fine, I replied mechanically. You're not fine. Nobody would be fine after this. She was right, of course. I wasn't fine. I was in shock. Did she give any indication she was unhappy? My sister asked, settling onto the couch beside me. I shook my head. Nothing. At least, nothing obvious. We've both been busy with work, but that's normal for us. Do you know who this soulmate might be? I shrugged. Could be anyone. A client. A colleague. I have no idea. My sister stayed with me that night, sleeping in our guest room. I lay awake in our bed, now just my bed, replaying every conversation, every interaction from the past few months, looking for clues I might have missed. The next morning, I met with my lawyer. He was a family friend who had helped us with various legal matters over the years, including the purchase of our house. I'm very sorry about this situation, he said as I sat down across from his desk. It's unfortunate, but not uncommon. What we need to do now is protect your interests. We spent the next hour discussing the legal implications of my wife's departure. The house was the biggest asset we shared, a beautiful Victorian in a historic neighborhood. We had purchased it 4 years ago, a significant upgrade from our starter home. My wife had found it through her connections in real estate, and we'd both fallen in love with its character and charm. The house is actually what I wanted to discuss specifically, I said. I want to make sure she can't force a sale. My lawyer nodded thoughtfully. Let me pull up the ownership documents. I believe I have them on file from when you purchased the property. He turned to his computer and began typing. After a few minutes, his expression changed. "That's interesting," he said, peering at the screen. "What is it?" "According to these records, you're the sole owner of the house." I stared at him. "That can't be right. We bought it together." "Let me double check," he said, clicking through more documents. "No, it's correct. The house is in your name only. Your wife isn't on the deed at all." "How is that possible? We used money from both our savings." My lawyer continued examining the documents. "It looks like your wife arranged the purchase. As a real estate agent, she handled most of the paperwork, correct?" I nodded. "Well, for whatever reason, she only put your name on the deed. All the mortgage documents, all the ownership papers, everything is solely in your name." I sat back in my chair, stunned. "I don't understand. Why would she do that?" "I can't say for certain," my lawyer replied. "It could have been an oversight, though that would be unusual for someone in her profession. Or perhaps she had her reasons. The important thing is, legally speaking, the house is yours." "What about the mortgage?" "Also in your name only. You're the only one legally responsible for the payments." This information was both confusing and compelling. Why would my wife, a seasoned real estate professional, not put her name on our house? It made no sense. "There's more," my lawyer continued, studying his screen. "Your joint accounts were mostly funded by your deposits. According to these records, she's maintained separate accounts that you don't have access to." The revelation hit me like a tidal wave. All those years, I thought we were building a life together, pooling our resources for our shared future. But it seemed my wife had been keeping her finances largely separate from mine. "I want to be thorough here," my lawyer said. "Let me check property records for any other assets you might jointly own." After more searching, he looked up at me with raised eyebrows. "It appears your wife owns a condo downtown, purchased 2 years ago. Your name isn't on that deed either." 2 years ago. I had no knowledge of any condo purchase. Where had that money come from? And more importantly, why hadn't she told me? What should I do now? I asked, feeling like I'd stumbled into an alternate reality. "First, we secure all your accounts. Change passwords. Remove her access from anything joint. Second, we document everything. The note she left, the timing of her departure, everything. And third, we prepare for her to contact you." By the time I left my lawyer's office, we had a solid plan in place. I spent the rest of the day following his advice, changing passwords, documenting everything, and trying to make sense of this new information. My sister stayed with me again that night. I showed her the documents my lawyer had found. "This is bizarre," she said, shaking her head. "Why wouldn't she put her name on the house?" "I have no idea," I replied. "Nothing about this makes sense." The next morning, exactly 48 hours after discovering my wife's note, my phone exploded with notifications. Texts, calls, voicemails, all from my wife. I didn't answer. Instead, I forwarded each message to my lawyer as he had instructed. The first voicemail: "Call me back. We need to talk about the house." The second, an hour later: "Why aren't you answering? This is important. Call me." The third, her voice now tinged with desperation: "I know you're angry, but we need to discuss selling the house. My attorney says we should list it immediately." The texts were similarly focused on the house and dividing our assets. It was clear she had spoken to a lawyer of her own, and that lawyer had discovered what mine had. The house was solely in my name. By mid-afternoon, my father-in-law called. I had always gotten along well with my wife's parents. They lived a few hours away and visited several times a year. I hadn't informed them of their daughter's departure, assuming she would do that herself. I answered his call. "What's going on?" he demanded without preamble. "My daughter is hysterical." "Hello to you too," I replied calmly. "I'm doing as well as can be expected. Thanks for asking." "Don't be smart with me. She says you're refusing to sell the house." "I haven't refused anything. I haven't spoken to her at all. She left me a note saying she found her soulmate and moved out while I was away on a business trip. That was 2 days ago." There was silence on the other end. "Then, she did what?" "You didn't know. She told us you two had agreed to separate and that you were being difficult about dividing assets. I laughed, though there was no humor in it. Well, that's not what happened. And regarding the house, it turns out it's solely in my name. Your daughter, the real estate professional, arranged it that way when we purchased it 4 years ago. Another long silence. I see. Do you? Because I don't. I don't understand any of this. My father-in-law sighed heavily. I'll call you back. True to his word, he called again that evening. I spoke with my daughter, he said, his voice grave. She admitted she left the way you described. I want you to know neither her mother nor I condone this behavior. Thank you, I said, genuinely appreciative of his honesty. As for the house, she claims it was a mistake, that she always intended for both of you to be on the deed. A mistake? I repeated incredulously. She's been in real estate for over a decade. She knows exactly how property ownership works. This wasn't a mistake. I agree, he said, surprising me. I believe she deliberately kept her name off the deed. But why? I have my suspicions, but I'd rather not speculate. What I will say is this. My daughter has always been strategic about her finances. That was an understatement, apparently. What are you going to do? He asked. I don't know yet, but I'm not selling the house. My father-in-law was quiet for a moment. For what it's worth, I think you're within your rights. She made her choices, both in how she left and how she structured your property ownership. Now she has to live with the consequences. After we hung up, I sat with his words. My wife had made her choices. Now I needed to make mine. The next day, my wife showed up at the house unannounced. I was in the backyard when I heard the front door open. Only 2 people had keys, me and her. I walked inside to find her standing in our living room, looking around as if seeing it for the first time. You changed the alarm code, she said accusingly. Yes, I did. You no longer live here. She turned to face me, and I was struck by how different she looked. Same person, but somehow a stranger now. We need to talk about selling this place, she said, cutting right to the chase. There's nothing to discuss. The house is mine. Her expression hardened. Don't be ridiculous. We bought it together. Did we? Because according to all the legal documents, I'm the sole owner. You made sure of that. She waved dismissively. That was just for tax purposes. It doesn't change the fact that we purchased it as a couple. Tax purposes? I repeated skeptically. We filed jointly. What tax benefit would there be to keeping your name off the deed? She faltered momentarily. It's complicated. The point is, I'm entitled to half the value of this house. Actually, you're not. And I think you know that, which is why you're here in person instead of letting your lawyer handle it. Don't be petty, she snapped. This is our home. It was our home, I corrected her, until you decided to leave it, and me, for your soulmate. How's that going, by the way? A flash of something, irritation, worry, crossed her face. That's none of your business. Just like this house is none of yours. She changed tactics, her expression softening. Look, I know you're hurt. I handled this badly, and I'm sorry. But we need to be practical here. This house is too big for just you. It makes sense to sell it and split the proceeds. Too big for just me? I'll manage somehow. And there's nothing to split, because you have no legal claim to this property. I contributed to the down payment, she protested. I've helped pay the mortgage. Actually, I said, pulling out my phone where I'd saved documents from my lawyer. According to our financial records, the down payment came entirely from my account. And while you have contributed to household expenses, all mortgage payments have come from my personal account as well. Her face paled. That's not possible. It's not just possible, it's fact. My lawyer has verified everything. You've been very careful with your money, haven't you? Keeping your income separate, paying into joint accounts only what was necessary for appearances. She didn't respond. Tell me, I continued, when did you buy the condo downtown? Was that before or after you met your soulmate? Her eyes widened in shock. How do you know about that? My lawyer found the property records. Purchased 2 years ago, solely in your name. Were you planning your exit even then? She crossed her arms defensively. It was an investment property. An investment you never mentioned to your husband. Interesting. I don't have to tell you about every financial decision I make. No, you don't. Just like I don't have to sell this house. Her facade cracked, desperation seeping through. Please, you have to understand. We need the money from this house. We. I laughed. There's no we anymore. You made that very clear in your note. And what do you mean you need the money? You have your own secret property, and who knows what else squirreled away. She bit her lip, looking away. The condo, it's not worth what I paid for it. The market in that area has declined. Sounds like a poor investment decision. Not my problem. You're being cruel, she accused. Am I? Let's recap. You left me without warning, moved in with another man, and now you're demanding money from a property you deliberately kept your name off of, and I'm the cruel one. She tried another approach. What about all the work I put into this house? The renovations, the decorating, none of that counts? Did you pay for those renovations? Because our financial records show most home improvements were funded from joint accounts that I primarily contributed to. Her frustration mounted visibly. You can't just erase my contributions. I found this house. I negotiated the price. Yes, you did all that. And then you very specifically put only my name on all the documents. Why was that exactly? She didn't answer. Let me guess. I continued. You wanted the freedom to walk away whenever you wanted, without the complication of jointly owned property. You could leave me with a mortgage, while keeping your own finances separate and protected. Her silence confirmed my suspicions. What you didn't count on, I said, was leaving before the housing market peaked. If you'd waited another year or two, this place would be worth even more. Bad timing on your part. So that's it, she asked, her voice small. You're keeping the house out of spite. I'm keeping the house because it's mine. You made sure of that. I'm simply respecting your wishes. She stood there, seeming to deflate before my eyes. I need some of my things, she said finally. Most of your personal items are already gone. If there's anything specific left behind, let me know, and I'll arrange for you to pick it up when I'm not here. When you're not here. Why? Because I don't want to see you. I said simply. You've made your choice. Now please leave. She hesitated, looking around the house one more time. This isn't over, she said, but her voice lacked conviction. Actually, it is. Goodbye. After she left, I changed the locks immediately. Then I called my lawyer to update him on our conversation. He advised me to continue documenting everything and to prepare for possible legal action from my wife's attorney, though he doubted they would pursue it given the clear ownership documents. Over the next week, the calls and texts from my wife decreased, then stopped altogether. My father-in-law called once more to apologize for his daughter's behavior and to let me know they were not supporting her financially in this situation. I appreciated his integrity. Through mutual friends, I learned that my wife's soulmate was indeed a client of hers, a wealthy businessman who had recently gone through a divorce of his own. Apparently, their relationship had cooled somewhat since she moved in with him, especially after he discovered she wouldn't be bringing a substantial property settlement into their new life together. 2 weeks after my wife left, I received formal divorce papers from her attorney. They made no claim on the house, but did request a division of other marital assets. My lawyer and I reviewed everything carefully, counteroffered where appropriate, and eventually reached a settlement that was fair given the circumstances. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. By then, I had begun to rebuild my life. I decided to keep the house, not out of spite, but because I genuinely loved it. I renovated the primary bedroom and kitchen, erasing the most prominent reminders of my ex-wife. My sister encouraged me to start dating again, but I wasn't ready. Instead, I focused on my career and reconnecting with friends I had neglected during my marriage. I joined a local historical preservation society, which aligned with both my professional interests and gave me a new social circle. A year after my wife left, I ran into her at a community event. She looked different, her confident demeanor replaced by something more subdued. We exchanged awkward hellos before she pulled me aside. "I owe you an apology," she said quietly. "The way I left, it was cowardly." I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. "And about the house," she continued. "You were right. I deliberately kept my name off the deed. I always wanted an exit strategy, I guess." "I figured that out," I replied. "For what it's worth, I regret it. All of it." "What happened with your soulmate?" I couldn't help asking. She gave a bitter laugh. "That ended not long after we moved in together. Turns out we weren't so compatible after all." "I'm sorry to hear that," I said, and was surprised to find I meant it. Despite everything, I didn't want her to be unhappy. "How are you doing?" she asked. "I'm okay. Getting better." An uncomfortable silence stretched between us. "Well," she said finally, "I should go. Take care of yourself." "You too," I replied. As I watched her walk away, I felt no anger, no resentment, just a profound sense of closure. The house that she had tried to claim, the home she had abandoned, had become my sanctuary. In her attempt to secure her own future at my expense, she had inadvertently given me the one thing I needed most after her betrayal: stability. I returned home that evening to my beautiful Victorian, with its creaky floors and character-filled rooms. As I walked through the front door, I realized that for the first time since finding that note on the kitchen counter, I felt truly at peace. The house was mine, and now, finally, so was my life.